So as the name suggests, Anypoint Design Center will you'll be able to basically design your APIs. And coming to the second, Anypoint Management Center. So Management Center, you'll be able to manage your APIs. Like you can vertically scale it, horizontally scale it. You can apply policies, different kind of policies altogether. You can add a proxy application. So there are n number of things which you can perform through Anypoint Management Center. So this is a one go-to place to check all the things for an API. So once you have designed your API and then you have applied all the policies and everything, there's a place called Anypoint Exchange, which we were checking yesterday at the end of the discussion that we had different kind of connectors present in Anypoint Exchange. So think of Anypoint Exchange as a Play Store or an App Store, where if you require any kind of applications in your phone, you just go to the App Store and just type a search in the box and get that App Store and download it. So Anypoint Platform Exchange is built on the same design thinking, that if you have anything reusable components, you don't have to design it and you can just get it from Exchange. So these things will make sense when we go and check each of the applications in between. And after that, we have this, you say, all the APIs, which we are checking: the system APIs, process APIs, and experience APIs. So this sits on the runtime services. So Mule has its own runtime, which is a Mule engine. And we can deploy it on different networks, like on a hybrid cloud, on private cloud, or on-prem, or the Mule environment, which is Cloudhub. So again, we have come to the basic things like the design center. As I've already told you, that there's a place where you can design the APIs in a very rapid way. And exchanges for collaboration, management center is for visibility and control. And we have that Mule runtime engine where our API is actually running. And MuleSoft gives you various places to host your applications, starting from on-prem, hybrid cloud. The one is hosted by MuleSoft, which is the Cloudhub, and other service providers. So this is the same, like you have designing the, like you can connect to databases. Like yesterday, we had one question that can we connect from database and other services? So yes, you get the connectivity of database, FTP, web services, applications like Salesforce, SAP, the social media apps, Gmail, everything you can directly connect in Anypoint platform. So these are already pre-built, and you can just drag and drop and configure according to your needs and start working on it. So coming to this slide, this is a very important slide from my perspective. Like if you understand this slide, so the coming days on Anypoint training will be a lot easier to manage. So it speaks about the development cycle of an API specification. So here I am saying about API specification. I'm not saying about an API application. So API specification differs from the application. So in API specification, you just create a mock kind of API. You could design a mock kind of API through a code called RAML. I'll speak about RAML in the future coming videos. So your design, the first stage is design using RAML platform. Then you simulate. So where you'll design it, your designer, API designer will go through this also. Then comes a simulate process where you simulate your API through mocking service and you get an URL. Okay, so this URL you can share with your stakeholders. Suppose you have got a business demand that we have to create an API which accepts phone number and it displays the address. So you'll design it and then you'll share the URL with the stakeholders, and they can give you feedbacks that how it is working, that they want to display the address in this way or some other way. So in that way, you can use a URL and share with your stakeholders. So we have exchanged. So once our API is they have accepted it and they have given all the permissions to go forward with it, we can publish it to Exchange. So we do it because this can be used for the future developers. So design phase, then simulate, then get the feedback, and then validate. So this completes your RAML process. So this is the first process which is important, and it will be good if you have this spec in your mind that how we are going to do it. Next comes the API development cycle, the actual API development. So in this one, if you go back again, in this API specification, suppose we have an use case where we have a database and we are querying a simple database which has an employee's name, salary. So as soon as we enter the name, we should get the salary in our requirement. So in this API specification, you don't directly connect to a database. What you do is you just mock the input and the output. So why we do this? Because we have to save time. In the initial stage, if we mock the input and show it to the stakeholders, it will be more convenient rather going to the connectivity, like connecting to database and getting the outputs. It makes more sense to just mock the input and output. And if everything they allow, then we can go and complete the implementation. So that is how the API spec and API development lifecycle, API implementation is differing. So if you go here, we already have an API spec RAML, which we created in the previous slides. So after that, we have only two purposes. One is build and the other is test. So build means actual build. Like in this build, you will be connecting to the actual database. And everything like in real time, everything will be happening. So where you build your applications. So yesterday we saw that in Anypoint Studio, where we can build our applications, and it will not take much time because everything is already there. You just have to drag and drop and just configure to your needs. So once this is built, we have to do unit testing for that, right? So Anypoint Studio comes with an inbuilt unit testing, which is called munit. So you have to mock all the services like the input, output, and you just have to run the munit test cases. So it will show that these are all called processes, right? So it will cover all the processes and it will show that how much coverage of that application which you have built and the API which you have built, it's taking. So generally 80% coverage is enough for an munit, but it depends on different stakeholders. So we get that in a single Anypoint Studio only, the build stage and test stage. So as we saw that we have designed it, we simulated it, we got the feedback and validated it. We got the API spec RAML. After that, we built it in Anypoint Studio and we have completed the testing also. So now we have a proper web service within API. So within 5 to 6 steps, we got the API. Now, so we have got.
Sorry to disturb you.
Yes, Ram.
Is it okay to ask question now, or you want to wait until that?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You can ask questions, Ram.
Yeah, we did that sample hello REST service yesterday, right?
Right, right.
So where did we come across the specification situation? You just meant it involves API specification and implementation.
Yes.
Did we come across the specification yesterday?
No. So, so why we didn't cover the specification is it involves a RAML code writing, so which will be overwhelming if we start in the first session. So the idea is to like start with the smaller things and then gradually move forward to more like technical things. So in Anypoint Studio, this is the only place which you will be writing few line of codes. It's not like very hard, but yeah, it has some keywords and things. So that is why we didn't cover it in yesterday sessions. We'll probably take in like fifth or sixth session of this session. So yeah.
Yeah, when you say marking the service, I was trying to understand what does it mean. So did we encounter that yesterday? That's what I was trying to compare.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
that's good. Because if these things are clear, then it will be very easy to understand the whole process of Mule. So
okay,
yeah,
okay. Go ahead.
we'll go forward. So our spec is complete, our build is complete, our application is fully ready, but we have to like be production ready for that. So the third terms comes into picture, which is API management. So the inner two circles are completed. Now we will move to the third circle, which is to deploy the service. So how we would deploy the service? So we again have a runtime manager. Through that runtime manager is just a Mule instance running in the Mule IDE, where we can deploy our services and applications. So after deploying, we have to create a proxy just to be safer on internet. We don't give access to the implementation URL directly to the users. So we built an proxy over our actual implementation. So this is done through the API manager. After the API manager is after the proxy is completed, we can secure it. Like we have different kind of policies, which is already built in. Policies involving throttling, rate limiting policies, client ID management policies, Okta 2.0, all these things are already there. We just have to take use of it. So we can secure our APIs at one place. After securing, we have the monitoring phase. So we can monitor like how many requests are coming into this side and at what time, the CPU level, everything we can monitor in Anypoint management center, which is called Anypoint monitoring. So this will help us to scale our applications. As we said that we can scale our applications horizontally and vertically by just changing the workers. And then we have a latest offering, which is API analytics, where we analyze the basic request and everything else. We have the troubleshooter, which we don't make much use of it because, and then again, the scaling part comes into picture where we can scale it and horizontally or vertically. So this completes the whole API management cycle of an API. So moving next. So yes, I was talking about Anypoint Exchange. So this is a very like a basic and primary feature which you will be using if you are doing a lot of development, or if you are a manager of a company and you want to just check that what is built, and if you want to just interact with the APIs. So this is the place where you'll go. It is just like in Play Store. So you have everything, the catalog of usable assets such as APIs. We have policies. Suppose your organization has built a policy, custom policy for your client. So in that case, you can just publish it here, and the other people will be able to take use of it. API spec fragments, the API groups, templates, everything we can just build it and publish in Exchange. So there can be a question that if you publish it, will it be available to the whole world, or how it works? So it's your choice if you want to publish it for the all world, or if you want to just keep it private to your organization. So Anypoint Exchange will give you that feature, that if you want to keep it to your organization, or you can just publish it to everywhere. So this is complete. Coming to the success of C4E. So as we discussed, this is a very integral part of a MuleSoft team. If you don't have a C4E, then we will not be able to achieve the whole goal process to reuse the APIs. So this slide shows that only, that central IT team and will produce the APIs templates and publish it to Exchange, and it can be used in project 1 or project 2 like that. So now we'll cover the Anypoint platform. We'll explore it. We'll browse the Exchange. We'll review this few APIs which is already there in API portal, and then we'll go to our implementation. So any questions till now?
So you had mentioned yesterday that we need to
Mhm.
install some software on our laptop, right?
Yes, yes. So
I-
that, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, is it the same, the Anypoint
Yes, so this is
software?
the software, this is the Anypoint platform. I
Mm.
was talking about Anypoint Studio. So yeah, this is quite confusing terms, this Anypoint platform in Studio. So today we will just check the web applications, and from tomorrow we can start installing and configuring our laptops. So we
Okay.
today we don't have any hands-on to do in like your laptop and things.
Okay.
Okay.
So is there any difference between Anypoint desktop, Anypoint Studio version and this web-based Anypoint platform? Or
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I will cover it, and I'll tell you the difference when we are just covering both the applications.
okay.
Okay. Okay. So let's go to Anypoint platform. So this is the Anypoint platform, as I was mentioning. So it holds all the core features and of the Mule. Like if you come here, you will see Design Center, which we were talking about. Like what is Design Center? What is Exchange? Then we have Access Management. We have API Manager. We have Runtime Manager. We have Visualizer. We have Monitoring. So everything is in a single place. So this is designed just to like help developers and all the stakeholders to get things in a single place. So we'll start with Design Center, as this is a place where you will land up when you start designing an API. So once you come to the Design Center, it shows you all the projects which you are already working on, and then it asks you if you want to create new thing. So we have different uh, things which we can create here. We can create a new API spec, which I was mentioning at that time, that what is that API spec, that YAML code writing. We have new fragments. So fragments are just pieces of codes like which can be reusable in other projects. So we can create fragments here. We can new Mule app. This is a complete Mule app which you can design. So as we had designed a Hello World project yesterday, so we can design the same kind of project in this web application also. And then we can design an async API. So we'll cover async API also later in the at the end of the modules. So it gives you an all opportunity to design everything in one place. You don't have to go anywhere. So once you design it, I'll just show you how it looks. Now, if you want to go to a new API spec, so you have to just give your title of the project. And this is what I was talking about, YAML 1.0. So this is we are using as a specification language right now. You can use other languages also. I believe there is a few more in the internet, but as MuleSoft suggests, we should use the YAML 1.0, and we just have to go create API spec. So this is a window which will come, and this is where we will just define our APIs, that which method it should follow. It should follow a REST method, HTTP method, GET method, POST method, what kind of method it should follow. Everything we will be deciding here. So we have all these options like what is the data type, what is the base URI, how it is secured. Like we can even secure our API specs also, that it should secure by some Okta thing or client ID or secret. We can everything can be done here. So once you design your YAML, then you can publish it, and then you can publish it to Exchange also from here. We have the documentation section here, and this is a mocking service which we can use. So if you complete your API specification, then just go to mocking services. You'll get the option to mock your API spec, and then you can get that URL and can interact with the API. So this is API designer. We will have to cover like 2-3 hours of designing and making the API spec. So in all the projects which I have worked on in my recently, so they are using API specs in all the projects, like 95 to 96% of the projects. So without API spec, even if you built an application in Anypoint Studio, they will ask you to do it in Design Center also, because this is how MuleSoft is suggesting to go forward. So it's the best practice to do a design spec. So next is we have seen that new fragment, new API spec. This is a new Mule app where you'll get end-to-end Mule application, which we created like yesterday. The Hello World application, we can again check here. Let me just log in again. Yeah, so if I open this application, so it is taking time. Let me check the other application ones. So generally, developers will not be doing a full-fledged project in Design Center. They will just create an API spec, and they will create the actual project in Anypoint Studio, which we will have to install. That Anypoint Studio and Anypoint Platform is different. This is the Anypoint Platform, and this is the Anypoint Studio. So this IDE is the Anypoint Studio, where we will be actually implementing all the projects. We have that option to do it here also. If you can see, I am using the same HTTP connector, and this is an API which I get flights. This is transform, and this is logger. So we can do the same thing here also, but it is recommended and to do it in Anypoint Studio because it provides us with more wide options. So most of the projects you will be creating in Anypoint Studio itself. So we've completed the design center part. We have now we'll be going to first when you created the design, then we will move to runtime manager. So this is the place where after creating your application, you will be hosting the application. So this is runtime manager, and it gives you everything from load balancing to VPC to just open this application and check. So how application looks like. So if you see this application, we will get all the details about logs, about queues, everything we'll get up to last 30 days. And coming to this window, so this is our application. This is the jar file which is generated after the Anypoint Studio, and we will just upload the jar file here. So there can be a number of ways to deploy your application. First, you can directly come and create an application here, or you can go through the CI/CD processes, which is most of the companies now using. So you have to just give the runtime version 4.3 or 4.4. So it is running on 4.3, but as it is a free account, so we don't have the latest version. So the latest version which enterprises are using right now is 4.4. And it has many differences from 4.3, like it. And then we have the worker size. So this is just the vCores, like on which instance our application is deploying. and the workers. So I was talking about horizontally and vertically scaling our application. So suppose if you're getting, if you've created a site and initial days, it's a lot of traffic is not coming. And suddenly you are expecting a huge number of traffic in the coming weeks. So we can directly scale our application just by increasing the worker size to one, like more cores, and increasing the workers, like 2 workers or 3 workers. So workers are basically instances. So this runtime manager is the I mean the Cloudhub is everything is generally hosted in AWS environment. So if you are aware of AWS environments, so they have that EC2 instance. It's basically an virtual machine which is running, and it will have its own vCores and the memory associated to it. So we can just increase it directly on the go. And once we increase it, we just have to stop the application and redeploy it. So within minutes, our applications will be scaled up. So this is about runtime manager. Coming to, so once your application is deployed, you will basically come to API manager. So it's making sense, right? We create our application in design center, then we host our application in runtime manager. Then after that, we will come back to API manager, where we will secure our application. We will make a proxy over the application. So these kind of things will perform in Anypoint Platform Manager. So this is an API already published here. You just open it. So you get all the details about it. Like if you see the policies, you can add policies, different kind of policies you can add here. So we have rate limiting, SLA based, spike control policy, HTTP caching policy. So we have all these policies already deployed, JWT validation, IP block list. So you can make use of these policies, and you can also browse by category and check what kind of policy your application needs. So this is about API manager. We will come to monitoring now. So once our application is deployed and everything is done, we'll come to monitoring. So I haven't deployed any applications here in yet. So that's why I'm not able to see the custom monitoring. So, but yeah, you can see all the different kinds of, you see the graph and everything visual in a visual way. So you can know that what your application is actually going through. So this completes the tour of Anypoint platform. We'll come back to the slides. So we have explored the Anypoint platform. So we have checked the API manager, runtime manager, design center. Yes, and we missed the exchange part. So we will see, we'll be exploring Anypoint exchange. Then we will just check the REST APIs, which are already there in exchange. So we'll go back to Anypoint platform. So once everything is there, we can publish our application to Exchange, which is basically like a Play Store and App Store, as I was saying. So this is Anypoint Exchange, and if you see, there are sections that training master. So it is showing the view of my like enterprise, like what I have designed. So I've designed only American Flights API right now. So that is why it is showing only one API here. If I go to provided by MuleSoft, you will see n number of connectors. There are so many connectors: FPS connector, HTTP connector, file connector, all the applications, database connector is provided by MuleSoft. So you can just write anything and you can check that application connector, how it works and how it performs. So if you go to Salesforce, we will have many Salesforce connectors. So Mule 3 connector is also provided, and Mule 4 is there. Also, you can just check here, like what exactly you want. You want templates, you want policies, you want to download REST APIs or async APIs. It is all categorized and put in a very neat and clean manner. So we'll be creating REST APIs in our sessions. So we'll just explore one REST API. Let's check the training American is present or not. So this is a training American flights API. So this basically was built for training of MuleSoft. So we'll just explore like what actually it is having here. So as we can see, we have this endpoints where we have a flight endpoint and we can get the flights, we can post the flights. We have the ID where we can give the ID of the flight and get the specific flight. We can delete a specific flight. We can update on a specific flight. So if you come here, you will get all the details. You have the summary section. So this is how your it'll look when you publish your API to Exchange. This is how it will look. So this is a new UI. There was a when the back section was an old UI. This is the new UI which MuleSoft has updated. So it is more clean and it gives you everything like how many resources are there, how many methods you are using, these kind of things. And you also get the documentation part here. Then when it was done, what is the version, and many things over here. So this completes the Exchange part of it. And yes, you will be using Exchange in like most of the times. You'll be either developing a project or you will be getting it from Exchange, few connectors or modules. So we have completed Exchange. We have seen a REST API. Next is the same thing, which we already discussed, that what is API designer, what is Anypoint Studio, how Mule applications are hosted. So Mule runtimes can be hosted in Cloudhub and customer hosted in cloud on-prem. So these are the things this we have already seen. Now coming to an important slide, which is the Cloudhub worker. So worker, like you can assume it's an instance which is running on AWS EC2. So a worker is dedicated instance of a Mule that runs an app. So whenever you deploy, like build an API, so you can deploy it in a single worker only. Like you can't deploy 2-3 Mule applications in one worker. So there's things we have to keep in mind, that we can deploy one applications in one worker. And this is the worker size, that 0.v cores is the processing, and 500 MB memory will get, and 1 vcore if you have a bigger applications. So 1.5 GB memory you will get. So this is how worker is placed in the picture. So it runs in a separate container from every other applications. Like single application will be running on a single worker. So it is deployed and monitored independently. So each worker will be deployed and it will monitor in Anypoint Manager and API monitoring. So also you don't get to decide that on which region your worker is you're deploying the worker. It depends on Cloudhub, that it is hosting in US East 1 or US East 2. So it is not in our control. So as the workers have different memory capacity and processing power, so this is what we are talking about, that it has different memory capacity and the processing powers is weak to 0.2 vcores and things. Apps can be scaled vertically by changing the worker size. So once you change the from 0.1 to 1 vcore, so that will be the vertically scaling. You are increasing the processing speed of a application. So that is vertically scaling. And if you increase the number of the worker, that will be horizontal scaling. So this is completed.
So when you say one worker for one application, say worker is a dedicated instance of Mule, then what is the point of increasing the worker? See, when you deploy the project, right?
Yeah.
When you deploy the API, on the management console, you mention how many workers you want, right?
Right, right,
Here you say that one worker can run with one app, or one app can be run with the one worker.
right.
So
So
does,
that is done for high availability. So suppose your application is running on one instance in US East 1, okay, and suppose by any chance that data center or that it is shut down. So just to increase the availability, we will deploy the same application in different worker. So that is how it is working. We are actually deploying the same application in a different worker. And then we have a load balancer coming into picture where you have to give the load balancer and things will happen. You got it, Ram? Or
yeah. Now I think it is like one worker can hold only one application,
exactly,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So in the second worker, we'll deploy the same application. It's just a replica of it. So just to decrease the traffic through one worker or improve the availability, we use different workers.
Okay. Got it.
So this is also again an important part. So let's understand in a detailed way. So whenever we are building an API, so I'll go back to the Anypoint Studio. So if you see the listener and the set payload part, right? So this is one processor and this is a second processor. So in the starting listener, we have some details which will be coming from our ARC, like a postman or anything. So whatever details is coming, maybe it's the host name or the query parameters, the URI parameters, it has to pass to the second processor. So how it is passing, that is called a mule event. So whenever I'll add one few more things here, few more loggers. So suppose event is here. Event means it contains all the basic details like payload, messages, attributes, variables. So it has to pass to different processes. So the passing of that whole packet of data, it's called a mule event. So we'll understand what is included in a mule event. So this whole package is a mule event. Okay.
Does that mean that it's a mapping of a request and response?
Yeah, you can say that. But yeah, in layman words, you can say that, yeah, it's a mapping of request and response. But it will not be in the case of other processes. Suppose you have an HTTP request, that request will be coming, right? Then
Yeah,
if you are doing it set payload, then at time you'll not get a response, right? We're just passing a mule event to the second processor. We are not actually calling it, right?
yeah.
Request response will come only when you are calling an API through web.
It's like assigning a variable.
Yeah, yeah. So the mule event will comprise of these things. First is the mule message. So mule message is an important part which will hold your payload and attributes. So let's understand what attributes is. Okay. So the metadata contained in the message header. So if you go back again to our MuleSoft Anypoint Studio, so if you see here HTTP listener, so what will be the attributes here? So attributes in this case will be our URI parameters, our what do you say, the query parameters. I will show you in a like more better way. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll cover this slide and then we can go back. And then you see a payload. So this is actually what you are passing, like what data you are passing. So that we will be calling as payload. And then comes the variables. So every like application or programming language will have variable to store some data to reference it for future. So that is how variable comes into picture. And as you will be sure that a variable can hold only these two messages. Apart from this, we will not have any other. Like, yeah, we can define a static variable, but to like reference in the future, we can use the payload and the attributes to store in the variable. So I'll come back to our project, and I'll just stop it and show you a debug project. Okay. So in debug perspective, you will have more in depth of how things are happening real time, like what is the attribute, how it is changing, what is the payload, everything. So let's wait for the application to be deployed. Our application is deployed. So I'll just show you what we have done with our application. So yesterday we had a path called hello. Now you'll be seeing a thing called uname. So this is actually a URI parameter. Okay, so we will be passing the URI parameter from our request only. So whatever we will be passing in the URI parameter, it will be stored in this uname URI parameter. And then we are accessing the URI parameter in our set payload feature. So we are doing a hello world plus attributes. So this is what I was referring to in our slide, that we have attributes. So attributes will hold all the things which are coming from the request. So the URI parameters, it's coming from the request. So it is getting stored in attributes. So this was the slide where I was talking about attributes will hold the metadata contained in the message header and the payload. So we are not passing any payload right now. We are just creating a payload. So we'll not be able to see any payloads. Also, we haven't created any variable. So you'll not be able to see any variable in our application. So let's try to, our application is deployed. Let's try to hit it. So this is the URL http localhost 8081 hello. And this is the path hello. And this is the mule which I'm sending in the URI parameter. So once you send it, I think we have already got, I think I've deployed it. Hello is there, then let's see if it's getting deployed again. So yeah, it is deployed. So one thing I have added is I have just right clicked on this processor and I have added a breakpoint. So I'll remove this breakpoint and show it to you again. So what will happen is when we send a request, it will come here and then it will go to set payload and then it will go back and send us a response. So as I want to do it in a debug way, like I want to see what is happening in each step. So that's why I right clicked and run my application in a debug mode. Okay, so that's why I'm getting this mule debugger. Okay, so to stop our application, like if you don't provide us a breakpoint like this, we have to add a breakpoint. If you don't provide this breakpoint, then the application will run and it will send back the response. It will not stop for us. So that is why you can add a breakpoint anywhere in the application to see like till where you want to see the request and response attributes and everything. So I've added a breakpoint here. This is the mule window. So it says connected with mule, waiting for a mule message to arrive. So we will send a mule message. So right now we are sending the mule message. So see, our after this listener, our flow has come to this processor set payload. So the dotted line represent that the current process is happening in set payload. So we will go in detail at what is mean by the attributes and what is mean by the messages and everything. So this is the attribute section, right? So it has all these things like a local address, listener path. This is a listener path. So this is our all metadata, right? It is the metadata, and we will see the Headers, we don't have anything much in headers right now. So we will see the query parameters. So as we're not sending any query parameters, the size is 0, but we are sending a URI parameters. So if you go to the URI param section, you will see a uname and the value is mule. So it is storing in this way. Whatever we had defined in that path, our uname, so it is storing the mule, which we are sending in this place, URI params. And if you see the payload, there is no payload because we are not yet defined a payload or we have sent a payload. So, and one more thing to remember that this processor shows that it is in this place, but the data which it is showing the output of this one. So it hasn't processed this. So it will show the output of the previous processor. So once we go, like we don't have anything in payload, right? We can't see anything in payload yet, but you can say that we are already setting a payload. So it should show that payload, right? But it's not happening that way. It is actually showing the output of the previous processor. So this is the place where we will just move to the next processor. As soon as we go to the next processor, we don't have a logger here. That's why we are not able to see that. So we would have seen that payload and everything in this next logger message. So I hope this part is clear and we can explore more on this part and how I'll show you debug a big application also. And it will have different things like scatter gather plot, a choice block, mule batch processing, many things will be there. This is a just small application, so we'll not be able to see much scope of how attributes, some payload and messages are changing at processor level. So once we come in a bigger projects, we will see that. So I hope this is clear till now. We will go to the last slide for today, which is transforming data with data weave. So to like as we had that attributes, payload, all these things, to just to extract that things, we have a expression language which is called DataWeave 2.0. So this is just like a JSON language to just query our data, which is already present. So I'll show you what exactly the DataWeave language is. So this hello world plus plus attributes dot URI parameters dot uname. So this is a DataWeave code in a single line. So we are just querying our attributes page and we are getting the uname. So if you see in our response message, it is hello world plus mule. So how it is coming hello world plus mule is hello world we have already uh, printed here, and we are just getting the attributes from our URI parameters. So that is why it is pending uname. So this is the data weave, and you can, there is a few websites where you can practice data weave codes, and it comes really in handy. And like there will be many projects which requires intense use of data weave, and there can be many projects which will not have much intense work of data weave. It will just have the connectors and basic data weave code. So it totally depends on the project, but we it's a good to have a like a basic hands-on data weave. So we are done for the day. We will cover few 4 to 5 quiz questions, and again this is all taken from MuleSoft Certified Developer course. So this quiz are of good level and it will help you if you are planning for a certification in MuleSoft. This will definitely help you. So after the quiz, we'll open up for questions. So let's start with the quiz. So the first question is, what MuleSoft product enables publishing, sharing, and searching of APIs? So it is straightforward, like the answer will be Anypoint Exchange, because here it's like Play Store, as I said, we are publishing the APIs, we are sharing with others, and like that. So the answer will be Anypoint Exchange. You know about other things like the API design and runtime manager, what is the capability of that? So answer for this will be Anypoint Exchange. Coming to question number 2, which asset cannot be created using Design Center? So if you remember, we had gone to that Design Center page, and when we were creating new Mule app, we were able to see different things, right? API specifications we can create, API fragments we can create, Mule application we can create, but there was no option of API portal. API portal is where the application is published and we will be able to see. So we cannot create an API portal from the design center. So the answer for this will be API portal. So we cannot create an API portal from the design center. Question number 3, what is the main purpose of flow designer in design center? So the flow designer, I think we haven't seen the hands-on, we just saw like how a flow designer is. So to design an API RAML in a graphical way, no, this is not the right answer. To define API cycle, to design and develop fully functional Mule application in hosted development environment. So this is what flow designer is, to design and develop fully functional Mule application. Question number 4. So yeah, this we already saw, and like in our example, that a web client submits a GET request to Mule applications, and endpoint is customers. So it is that localhost / customers $ID, and it is giving 48493. So what is the ID stored in the Mule event? By where is the ID stored in the Mule event? By the HTTP listener. So as we saw that whenever we are passing an through HTTP listener, is it either query parameters or URI parameters? And in Mule debugger, we saw that we have different properties, that we have attributes, we have variables, we have payload, we have inbound. We don't have this inbound properties. This inbound properties was a part of Mule 3, which after Mule 4, it has been like it's not present in Mule 4. So the answer to this will be attributes. So we saw that URI parameters was residing under the attributes section, right? So here the query parameters is residing under the attributes section. So for this, attributes will be the answer. To the last question, where does deployed flow designer application run in Anypoint platform? So it's just asking that where our application will be running in Anypoint platform. So will it be running on API manager? No, API manager is for just managing our APIs, creating policies and things like that. So it will not be running on API manager. It will not be running on design center because it is used to design our application. And Exchange, like it will be shared with Exchange, but it will not be running. It is just when you download an app from your Play Store, it runs on your phone, right? So that's how it will not run in Exchange. It will reside on Exchange. So it will be running on Cloudhub worker. So that concludes today's session. This is the answer point. So we'll open up for 5-minute questions if you have any.
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one question regarding training. Do you
Sure.
provide any point platform training in your institute?
Yeah, so you mean to say the Anypoint platform, like the design center and everything, right? That is what you are looking
Yeah,
for.
it is like Arctic level.
Sorry, what
Next
level?
to the developer certification, I want like platform certification, right?
Okay, so this is basically designed for the developer certification. So because it's for freshers who don't have much idea about Mule, so this training is designed in that way. So we will be covering some parts of Anypoint platform, but it's basically more of Anypoint Studio and developing an API.
Yeah,
We will be
but
covering that. Yeah.
do you have like a training as such, not in this demo session, like any other demo
Mhm.
sessions are going on in your institute, like Unigrix?
Yes, yes. I think we will have, you can just contact on this number and you can send an email, and they will, if there is any training going on for platform architect, you will be notified.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions we have, or like we can close the session for today?
I think I'm okay. Such.
Okay, so thank you everyone. So this concludes our 2-day session, which was free and for anyone to access. We will be uploading this videos and we can get access to. You just have to contact the below ID and phone number. And to enroll for the session, again, you have to contact the phone number and get yourself enrolled. So from tomorrow, we will be starting with Anypoint Studio. We will install and we'll configure and we can start with the hands-on from tomorrow. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, Ram, you have
I
any
think,
question?
so far we have 2 people attended. I think that person is also left off. I don't know whether that person is going to enroll because she was asking about the platform specific something, right?
Right, right.
Suppose if I'm going to join myself,
Mhm.
so the class will still be going on, right?
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
it,
want
it,
Prasad to think that over only one person, why do we have to spend this much time on all? So
okay, okay.
anyway, I'm going to talk to him tonight.
Yeah,
He said after attending the 2 session, you just call me, let's discuss about it.
right.
So if it is okay, yeah, I'm planning to join. That's not a problem for me, but is it okay to conduct the class